أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى. إن إلى ربك الرجعى. أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى. أرأيت إن كان على الهدى أو عمر بالتقوى. أرأيت إن كذب وتولى. ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى. آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد كلما ذكره الذاكرون وصل على سيدنا محمد كلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون. رضينا بالله تعالى ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. اللهم أنجِ المستضعفين من المؤمنين. اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم ارحم أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وكرم أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وفرج عن أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما. آمين يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, with the grace and mercy of Allah, we are back to this weekly Quran. So last time I couldn't have the class because I was traveling, as you already know. So I had promised that instead of that we will have two classes. One is tonight on Saturday and tomorrow, inshallah, at 4 p.m. inshallah. So we make dua that may Allah bless this gathering and may Allah make us of those who recite, memorize, and ponder over this Quran. And may Allah make us of those who are pious, and may Allah make purify our intentions constantly, so that um, Allah will be pleased with us, inshallah. So today we are, as you must have noticed, that we are. I recited the ayahs of Surah Alaq. Surah Alaq is the most important surah for all of us in many senses. First of it is um, the first wahi, first revelation of the Quran. It is the revelation which was the first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, and then it talks about many aspects, and among those aspects, the most important aspect is iqra, that is knowledge, that is read, right? So because there's a misconception among non-Muslims that Muslims do not subscribe to the ideology of learning, reading, and knowing things. So they feel that Muslims are forbidden to seek knowledge. Muslims are not supposed to seek knowledge, according to their misconceptions. But this surah debunks, deconstructs all those misconceptions which many people have, including non-Muslims. So Allah, since beginning of the Quran, since beginning of the creation, Allah encouraged every human being to seek knowledge and learn for the benefit of the humanity, right? So he doesn't restrict us, and neither was the way of our prophets, uh, our previous prophets in and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Nobody said that you should not seek knowledge. Nobody said that you should not learn new things. Yes, there has to be distinction between right knowledge and false knowledge, right? And the most important knowledge is which will lead you to the knowledge of your creator, which will make you know who is your creator actually, right? So that's the beneficial knowledge. And that's why we ask Allah to bless us with beneficial knowledge, Rabbi zidni ilma, and increase our knowledge, right? So I recited certain ayahs of this surah, and before going to the ayahs of this surah, we should understand that what was the background, what are the themes of this surah, and then we'll go ahead, inshallah. I must tell you that tonight we may not be able to go to the ayahs because it may take us time to go through its introduction. Introduction is very important to the surah, and we have to have knowledge about its themes. Then only we'll go ahead, and then only we'll be able to understand this surah in a proper manner, inshallah. So the basic premise of this surah is the first ayahs of this surah are among the first that were revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was 40 years old, right? When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was 40 years old, he received his prophethood. He received his nubuwah, right? He was blessed with the noblest ever job in the world, that is the prophethood. He was 40 years at that. He received these ayahs in the cave, cave of Hira. That's also called as Ghar Hira. It's called as cave of Hira, Ghar Hira or cave of Hira, right? So Ghar Hira is in Makkah, and then the rest of the ayahs of the surah were revealed when the message was presented to the people of Makkah, and then after they received this message, they began threatening Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because it was very new to them, and they didn't want to uh, like eradicate their social evils. They didn't want to come to the front and debunk those previous things which were not good, which were not appreciable, which were not beneficial to the society, right? And then this surah speaks about the humble beginning of human beings. Alaq. This surah is named as Alaq, right? And it's actually the humble beginning of human beings. Why humble beginning of human beings? Because Allah reminds us all how we have been created by Him, how we are created. We are not super men or super women. We came from nowhere. No, we were created by something, and that something was very impure. That we don't usually name that, right? And then we are egoistic. We feel proud of ourselves. Oh, I am something. But we have to go back and see where did we come from? What is our history? And uh, how did I come into this world? What was that episode? Right? So then we should go. we should we should not be egoistic. We should not feel proud of something we have. It's if anything we have, if something we have, it's because of Allah. And Allah reminds us in this surah the high position that a human being can have, can receive, is through following the message of Allah. Then the stature of a human being, then the hierarchy of a human being will go up, right? As I already said, this surah is named as Al-Alaq. Al-Alaq means the cleansing substance. And uh, this is the first revelation of the Quran. So, by the way, that comes a new topic, new thought in mind. If this was the first revelation, why doesn't it come at the beginning of the surah, beginning of the Quran? Quran starts with what? The Quran starts with Surah Fatiha and then it goes to Surah Baqarah. Surah Fatiha is a Makki surah. Surah Baqarah is a Madani surah. And then it goes again to Madani surah, Surah Al Imran. It's amazing. And why it has been kept as the 96th surah while it was the first revealed surah, right? So it's actually the hikmah of Allah. So if you go back to the introduction to the Quran, there's a video on that also. I've shared it. I have already discussed about how the Quran was compiled, how there was an agreement, disagreements between Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu and Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. There was a hard disagreement between both of them. One, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu was saying that no, we should not compile it because it was not the amal of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu was on this side. He was saying no, we should do it because um, it is the message of Allah, and we already lost 6,000 Qurra. We already lost 6,000 reciters of the Quran, memorizers of the Quran. So if we keep on losing the reciters of the Quran, then who will take it forward? So then there was an agreement that it should be compiled, and Zaid bin Sabit radiallahu ta'ala anhu was made its chief, who will bring the original copy, because he was the one who had seen, who had heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam reciting the whole Quran when Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came to him every Ramadan, right? So that's another topic. You can go back to the video and you can watch that. So that's why this surah is is at 96th position of the Quran, 96th surah of the Quran, right? And there's no doubt about it being a Makki surah. It is a Makki surah because the event took place in the Makkah itself, right? Um, and the other ayah number 1 to 5 are the Makki surah, and ayah beyond that, ayah number 66 to 19 are also from the Makkah, right? So there is no disagreement upon that, right? As I already said, this surah has two parts. The first part consists of first 5 ayahs, and the second part consists of from ayah number 6 to ayah number 19, right? And about the first part, the first ayahs, a great majority of the Islamic scholars are in agreement that it forms the very first revelation to be sent down to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? There's a hadith of Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, and it has been narrated by Imam Ahmad, Bukhari, Muslim, and other scholars of hadith. They have related the chain of narrations to Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha, right? And that's most authentic hadith, right? And in that hadith, Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha has narrated the full story of the beginning of revelation as she heard herself from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And besides that, there are some other narrations by Ibn Abbas, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, right? And other companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who reported same chain of narrations about the first revelation, about the surah, right? And then the second part of the surah was sent down afterwards when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam began to perform the salah in the surroundings of the Kaaba, and his enemy, whose name was who was influential and who was famous, who is still famous, his name is Abu Jahl. When Abu Jahl tried to prevent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from offering namaz inside the Kaaba, inside the surroundings of the Kaaba, right? So now, as I already said, before going to the ayahs, before understanding any surah, it's very important for us to understand the basics and background of that surah, why it was revealed and when it was revealed, and why was it revealed, right? So we have to understand, before the advent of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the world was living in the times of darkness and oppression. There was injustice, like there was no code of conduct actually. So for that, in fact, Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, was the messenger of Allah who was sent before to the Jews, which was about 600 years earlier, before the declaration of prophethood by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 600 years. So it means for 600 years, the mankind was in darkness. And suddenly, Allah brings a light so as to shine over the earth and remove its darkness. This is why a lot of scholars say that this is the first surah to be revealed, the first 5 ayahs. And before the prophethood, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was alone, and he was thinking. He was thinking because he was part of that society where oppression was happening, where idol worshipping was happening. So he would think himself. He would be confused. He would he would think like, I am alone. I am alone in this part of world, because I don't belong to this idol worshipping, because there was something else going on. There was oppression going on. You must be aware of that helpful fudul when it was done. So when all these things were happening, when injustice was happening all around, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was thinking. So what was he actually thinking about? So there were some of the questions. Who created me? What is the purpose of life? And why is this happening? Why is idol worshipping happening? Why is this injustice happening? Right? And other scholars say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was already a human rights activist. So it goes back to the Hilful Fudul. Hilful Fudul was the pact of, it's called as the pact of benefit. So there was a pact between the clans of Makkah that no merchant will be will be oppressed. No merchant will be subjected to any injustice. If there is something, if he is wronged, then he should be saved. He or she should be saved. Any non-Arab, any non-Makkah, any non-Qurayshi, because Quraysh had proud that we are Qurayshi and nobody can touch us and nobody can befit our like so-called this royalty, because we are from Quraysh. So they had those things in mind. So then this pact happened, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the participant of this pact. And this has been proved by the statement of Hazrat Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, who said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you help the orphan, you help the oppressed, you help the needy and other people who are in need. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would wish that he could get rid of humanity's problems, because no matter how much he tried to support the oppressed, the corruption was still in the society and it was on increase. So in order to reduce that, Allah gave him a message. which would provide a perfect guidance as a connection between Allah and his slave, and the perfect guidance between man and society. Right? Now, coming to, I know this is quite dry topic. This is quite going above the heads, but this is important to understand before we go on this surah. Actually, um, we have to understand who are the people who affect society as a whole. Who are the people who are impactful in the society, in a society? So there are two groups of people who are impactful, like generally and majorly as well. First is the group of philosophers. Philosophers are the people who attempt to provide solutions for humanity. That is, um, communists, Democrats, and other people who share that ideology to provide solutions for humanity. They say they come up with the ideas with their own thoughts. So, but history has proven and history has shown us that these people are sometimes arrogant, these people are sometimes ignorant, and these people share those ideas which may benefit the society for a time being, but not for whole life, but not for the lifetime of a society. And then there's a group of people who are called as messengers. So, what do the messengers do? They provide the solutions to better the humanity's concerns, to straighten the society, to straighten the world from its corruption. And those solutions come from God. And these are the most noble and humble people. You go through the history of any messenger, any prophet you go through the life of any prophet. Prophet Musa, Prophet Isa, Prophet Zakaria, Prophet Sulaiman, Prophet Ayub, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You go to any life of the you go to the life of any messenger, any prophet. You will see that they are most noble. They don't like filthy attitude. They don't like any, they're not involved in any corruptive activities. They're not involved in deconstructing the society. They're always involved in constructing the society. And you will see in their personality as humility. You will see they are humble, right? And how do people get knowledge? There are certain things which we should know. The first is that intellect. The first intellect is the knowledge of the senses. We have five senses, whether we use it or not, but they are still there. So, and then second is inferred knowledge. That is, seeing smoke probably means fire. So it has been well explained by Dr. Israr Sahab Rahimahullah in the tafsir of Surah Takasur, wherein he distinguishes the meaning of ilm al-yaqeen, ayn al-yaqeen, and haqq al-yaqeen. Right? We have discussed all those things when we were studying this Surah Takasur. So you can go back to that video. So that's second. First is the intellect, the knowledge of the senses. Second is inferred knowledge. And then there's the third one is the knowledge of the heart. It means the intuition, the sixth sense, or the higher sense of awareness. And Muslims get those things by sixth sense, obviously, and through istikhara, when we are confused in any matter, when we are not able to decide for anything, for any when like any opportunity or anything, then we do istikhara. And istikhara is good to do for a Muslim. And uh, like it's a virtue of when a Muslim does it, then it means that he or she has a yaqeen in Allah. So we should do, when we are confused, we should do istikhara often. And that knowledge of heart also comes from true dreams, right? And then the knowledge can be gained by something called as revelation, something called as wahi, right? So wahi comes to the messengers upon their hearts, and we must know that, we must be aware of that. The philosophers do not have this type of knowledge, right? They do not have this type of divine knowledge, right? So uh, when we say that revelation, then and true dreams. So we have a narration from Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha. She says that um, the revelations to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam began in the form of true and good dreams, right? And whichever dream he saw, it seemed as though he saw it in a broad daylight. It means that whatever dream Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would see, it will be it would happen, seem like as if it was not a dream. It would happen like during the day. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was seeing these dreams, then solitude became dearer to him. Solitude means seclusion. When he would go back to the Hira. So seclusion became dearer to him, and he would go to the Hira to engage in worship there for several days and nights. He would take food and other provisions with him and stay there for several days. Then would return to Hazrat Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Hazrat Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha was the first wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who would again provide for him for a few more days. So now starts the narration about the first revelation. I would want your attention. I would want all of you to be attentive to listen to this. One day, this is being narrated by Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha. She says, because it was narrated to her by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. One day, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in the Hira, cave of Hira, revelation came down to him unexpectedly, and the angel said to him, Iqra. The first ayah of this surah, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. The angel, Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, Prophet Gabriel, he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Iqra. After this, Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha reports the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the effect. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told her, when Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam came to me and he said, Iqra, I said, Ana biqari. I cannot read. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ummi. He was unlettered. Ummi is the one who cannot read and write. Just two things. Ummi is the one who cannot read as well as write. But the person can understand things. It doesn't mean that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have any knowledge. He did have knowledge, and he could understand what is right and what is wrong. But he could not write and read, right? Because he was not sent to any school or any madrasa or any university of that time, right? So he was not able to read and write. When Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam told him, Iqra, pado, or read, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I told him, I cannot read. Ma ana biqari. After that, upon listening that, the angel, Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, took me and pressed me until I could bear it no more. Then he left me and said, Iqra. Once again, I said, I cannot read. Ma ana biqari. He pressed me a second time until it was unbearable for me to bear it. Then he left me and said, Iqra. I again said, I cannot read. Ma ana biqari. He pressed me for the third time until it was unbearable for me to bear it. Then he left me and said, Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Then he recited all the first ayahs. Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Khalaq al-insana min alaq. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. He recited all these first ayahs. Right? You can understand Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was already thinking about all those things. Why is it happening with my society? Why is it happening with my people? Why are they idol worshipping? Why are they worshipping idols? Why are they doing all these nonsense things? Why are they involved in oppression? Why are they committing crimes against people? And then an angel comes to him, and then, like, it was unexpected move. Obviously, the person would be in shock. Obviously, the person would be anxious. Why did it happen? Like, why is it happening with me? And who was that person? Who was that angel? So these questions would come. And in the state of anxiousness, Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha says, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned home to home of Khadija radiallahu anha. He was trembling with fear and he told her, Zammiluni, Zammiluni, Dassiruni, Dassiruni. Cover me, cover me. Zammiluni, Zammiluni, Dassiruni, Dassiruni. Cover me. And he was covered. There's a nasheed, by the way, there's a nasheed on this very aspect by Zanbikha. It's called as Zammiluni, Zammiluni. So it's a good nasheed. It's a good nasheed. So he talks about many aspects of this time, the time of revelation, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was trembling with fear and when he was fearful of these things. So when terror left him, when he was out of fear, when he was out of this terror, he said to his wife Khadija radiallahu anha, Ya Khadija, what has happened to me? Then when she asked, like, what is happening? Why did you say that the Miluni, the Siruni? Why did you say that? So what is happening with you? Why are you fearful? Why are you trembling with fear? Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated to her whatever happened at the cave of Hira and said, I feared for my life. But see the wife, see the nature of wife, see the nature of a noble wife, Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. She said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no, never. By Allah, never will Allah debase you. You treat your kindred well. You speak the truth. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was called as Sadiq and Amin. And in one narration, she said, you restore what is entrusted to you. You are Amin. You bear the burden of the helpless. You help the poor. You entertain the guests. And you cooperate in good works. Hilful Fudul. How come? I don't believe in it. Allah will not debase you. Then she took Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to her cousin. His name was Warqa ibn Nawfal. Warqa ibn Nawfal was a Christian in pre-Islamic days. And it has been narrated by scholars that He wrote the gospel in Arabic and Hebrew and had become very old and blind. Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha said to him, Ya akhi, brother, listen to the son of your brother. That means listen to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Warqa asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what have you seen, my nephew? What was the dream actually? What have you seen actually? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam described what he had seen. Then Warqa said, this is the same Namus, this is the same angel of revelation which Allah had sent down to Musa alayhi salam. Would that I were a young man during your prophethood, during your nubuwah. Would that I were alive when your tribe would expel you. So upon hearing this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was anxious. He said, will they expel me? Like he didn't think about it. Warqa said, yes. Never has it so happened that a person brought what you have brought and was not treated as an enemy. If I live till then, I would help you with all the power at my command. I will give you nusrah. But not very long after this event, Warqa died. Right? So this narrative is explicit that even until a moment before the coming of the Hazrat Jibreel alayhi to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was intimately aware of his life, his affairs, and his dealings. When he also heard of his experience, this Warqa, he did not regard it as an evil suggestion, but immediately said that it was the Namus who had descended to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, who had descended on Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. This meant that even according to him, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was such a noble person, was such a sublime person that there was nothing surprising in his being elevated to the office of prophethood, to the office of nubuwah. Right? So this was regarding the first part of the surah. Now, coming to the second part of the surah, which was revealed when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam began to offer namaz in the way that Allah had taught him. When he began offering namaz in the surroundings of the Kaaba, and Abu Jahl threatened and tried to prevent him from this. So it actually happened that after his appointment to prophethood, even before he could start preaching Islam openly, he began to offer namaz in the surroundings of the Kaaba in the way Allah taught him, as I already said. And from this, the Quraysh felt for the first time that he had adopted a new religion. The other people were watching it with curiosity, but Abu Jahl, in his arrogance and pride, threatened Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and forbade him to worship in that way in the Kaaba. And similarly, Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says that Abu Jahl asked the people of Quraysh, does Muhammad set his face on the ground before you? And when they replied in the affirmation, when they said yes, so Abu Jahl said, by Lat and Uzza, if I ever catch him in that act of worship, I would set my foot on his neck and rub his face in the dust. Okay. So then it happened that when he saw that one day when he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that posture, and he came forward to set his foot on his neck, he suddenly turned back, as if he was anxious, as if he was fearful, and when he was he was terrified. When he went back, he was completely terrified. His color, the color of his face was changed. It was red. And when he was asked, you were saying that you will you will set your foot on the neck, on his neck, then why did it happen? Why did you move back? Then he said, while I was trying to go, while I was trying to go ahead, there was a ditch of fire and a terrible spirit between himself, between me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, between Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard this, he said, had he come near me, the angels would have trampled over him and they would have torn him into pieces. They would have torn him to pieces. That's why he was terrified after that. And similarly, um, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says that Abu Jahl said, if I caught Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam performing his prayer by the Kaaba, I would trample his neck down. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard of it, he said, if he acted so, if he acted in the same way, the angels would seize him there and then. That's why he went back and he couldn't go ahead. Right? And similarly, there's one more narration by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was offering namaz at Maqam Ibrahim. So Abu Jahl passed that way. By the way, the name of the real name of Abu Jahl was Abul Hakam. What? Abul Hakam. Abul Hakam means the father of wisdom, so called the father of wisdom. So people would say that he is full of wisdom. He knows what is good and what is bad. But he couldn't. He recognized Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he did kufr. He did kufr. He didn't want to come out of his kufr. So that's why. So, but people would call him Abul Hakam. Then he was named as Abu Jahl. So, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was offering namaz at Maqam Ibrahim, Abu Jahl passed that way and said, Ya Muhammad, did I not forbid you this? Did I not threaten you? Did I not forbid you from doing this? And then he started to threaten him again. In the reply, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam rebuked him severely. Thereupon he said, Ya Muhammad, on what basis, on what strength do you rebuke me? By Allah, my followers in this valley far exceed yours in number. You have less followers. I have many followers. You can't touch me. So, because of these very incidents, the portion of this surah from beginning with la, beginning with this kalla innal insana la yatgha. But indeed, no. But indeed, man transgresses. Right? And number 8 in the surah of the Quran. Because after the coming down of the first revelation, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had given expression to Islam, first of all, by the act of salah, by the act of namaz, and his conflict with the pagans. So he did the first most act, his first most act was the namaz. So it was the first and foremost act. And now we can see ourselves, what is our approach to namaz? We do not offer namaz. Even if we offer namaz, we do it on Fridays only, as if Allah has made Friday namaz only farz. As if Friday namaz is the only farz. And even if we have that consciousness, we have that conscience alive, that's Zamir, then we offer namaz during the month of Ramadan. And once the Ramadan is over, then we don't know the way to masjid. We don't know the where is our musalla. We don't know where the Quran is. So in this ayah, in this surah, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave a strong message that his most important act was namaz. So we should be very careful with namaz. We should offer namaz on time. We should offer 5 times salah. And after that, if you are consistent with 5 times namaz, then we can go ahead with nawafil, we can go ahead with tahajjud, we can go ahead with other nawafil which are during the day and during the night. So I think this is enough for tonight because there are less participants. Tomorrow also we'll have the class at 4 p.m. inshallah. So tomorrow we'll be trying to understand what is the connection of the surah to the surah before and after it. So this is most important, and then we'll go to the ayahs of this surah. So if any one of you have any questions regarding the regarding this regarding today's session, then please go ahead. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. So please go ahead. You can write in chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask any question. If I know, I'll tell. If I don't know, then I'll go back and read and then come back to you, inshallah.